Ye- Yeah, I guess you can go in directly.
Okay. Fine. So let me take over. So everyone on chat, we're going to use two, three things. Okay. For yes, everyone has to type Y. For no, you guys can actually type N. Okay. So Arthak Malhotra, first year college, doing social media marketing for early stage YouTuber and help to reach more. Amazing, amazing, Sarthak. So everyone can see me. Just type Y or yes into the chat box. Congratulations, sir, for your 200K subs on YouTube. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Yes, just type Y. That would really great. Fantastic. So we need some energetic audience out here. Okay, you guys are youth. You are the future of our country, future of our nation. So I'm very cognizant about this fact that most meaningful conversations have to be dialogues. They shouldn't be monologues. And because this would be an interesting topic for you all of you, so what is this session going to? What is going to happen in this session? So nothing complicated. What we feel is a lot of students, specifically at your age, in school or early days in the college, we usually tend to completely ignore the finance part. We often feel that finance is a very complex subject. How many of you think that finance, financial management, saving, budgeting, all these are complex? Just type in this thing. Okay. How many of you really feel this thing? So some people say no, it's a very comparatively easier subject, but there are a lot of myths associated with finance. So I just thought in a very simple fashion. So since now I know what sort of audience we are not having an extremely aged audience also. Okay, if you can put your mind to it, everything becomes easy. Fantastic. In fact, for this thing, there's a wonderful book by the name Think and Grow Rich, and that speaks loud about this thing. I'm going to start investing into stock market. Fantastic, Priyansh. I'll try to put up some inputs, and in the last 10-15 minutes, we'll have some Q&A, and I'm going to cover this thing. So today's session is about those 10 commandments, not exactly 10, 8 or 10 commandments, which you all should actually keep in mind while you're into your student phase, and the mistakes which you guys are doing because of which you fall into financial trouble. Now, how many of you often face this trouble that I don't have money at the end of the month? I always need to ask my parents. I'm not able to manage my money. How many of you really face this issue? Just type in the comment section. Okay. You're an underrated YouTuber in terms of info you're providing. Thank you so much. Don't worry. We are growing slowly but steadily. Okay. Okay. My net worth is zero. No, my dear friend, you still have a net worth. I'll tell you. Actually, never. Don't really need to buy stuff. Okay. So first of all, let me tell you those 6 or 7 mistakes which most people do. My channel name is by my own name, that is Abhishek Kar, Abhishekar. I'll just type it over here in case you have not followed. You can go. This is an indirect promotion also now. So, anyways, let's come to the point. So, how many of you are interested to know what are those mistakes and how you can actually overcome those mistakes? How you can actually go out of your comfort zones and you can actually work on those things. These are very simple things. Some of these are very obvious, but the earlier you start understanding this thing, what I've noticed even in my friend circle when I was in school and college, what I realized is most of us in our youthful days hardly care about the finance. The only thing which is going into our mind is the moment we earn some money we have to spend that out, right? The moment we earn, let's say, 1000 rupees as a cash prize somewhere, we are eager to go to a Domino's, buy a pizza, and give a treat to our friends. Anyways, our friends are not going to spare us, right? Everyone agrees on this thing. Or for that matter, the moment you start earning your first salary, you have your own dreams. The moment I'll get my first salary, I'll buy that dream bike because my parents never let me buy that bike. I'm going to buy this thing, or I'm going to go to that foreign location in the first type. And how many of you really come up with these kind of things into your mind? Just type into the comment section because this is exactly how most of us think. We have a very minute understanding when it comes to finance. Some people have read a few good books and like just like Ram says, pay yourself first. I didn't even started earning as of now. Don't worry because this session is actually, I want to be a minimalist. Fantastic. That's actually great. But maybe everyone doesn't want to be a minimalist. I really want to be financially literate. So fantastic. So this would lay down the base, lay down the foundation. So Mr. Jay has actually come up with the first and the most important aspect over here. That is invest in yourself first. Okay, how many of you feel inspired by looking into now I know better and when to start earning anyway? Fantastic. So let me throw up this question. How many of you really get inspired by looking into Mukesh Ambani or Elon Musk or Ratan Tata or for that matter, even cricketers for that case? How many of you really get inspired? Everyone, but let's see. Everyone, I guess. Okay. Elon Musk, fantastic. So for all those people, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, all these things. Now, if you really understand what Warren Buffett, fantastic. Now there is a very famous quote from Warren Buffett. Nicki Minaj, okay, fantastic, fantastic. Everyone has their own aspiration. Ratan Tata ji, fantastic. Jim Simons, wow, someone from the stock market field knows this guy. Okay, everyone, Jim Simons, okay. Those guys were high IQ people. Their idea worked, and this thing, Grant Cardone, okay. Now, let me tell you, how many of you know who is Steve Jobs? How many of you know who is Steve Jobs? I just want to contradict this IQ statement, okay? You know Steve Jobs? Fantastic. Do you know Steve Jobs himself confessed that he was not good with technicals? He was not a good engineer. He himself, for those people who don't know, Steve Jobs is the founder of Apple, and we all know MacBook, Apple for Apple phone and everything. He himself confessed that he wasn't at all good with engineering. He wasn't good with IT. All he knew was designing and beautification of that. He was good in PR, absolutely, Kedar. He was good in PR, good in presentation, but he wasn't absolutely good with technology part. So for those people who think that it's the IQ element which is actually helping you to grow, so for them here's a challenge. Just look around you, look around your family members, and you would certainly find someone from your relatives who is extremely intelligent, जिसको घर पे सब बोलते हैं वहाँ ज्ञानी है भाई, इसका इतना knowledge है. But then you would realize that person is not the richest, neither that person, and there is a high possibility that person might be struggling with a lot of finances. How many of you have noticed this thing? In fact, in our own families, you can see our parents or maybe grandparents used to be very intellectually sound. They must be having all the knowledge. They know about history, they know about mathematics, they know about science, but yet at the end of the month or at some point of time, they're struggling with finances. So the first myth, because you guys actually threw it up into the chat section, it's nothing to do with IQ. Let me tell you, if it had to do only with, okay, now the second thing, let us just go into this direction. Do you really think your academic qualifications are extremely important for becoming financially free? 100% true in my family relative. Absolutely. So, okay. What percentage of weightage will you give to academic qualification in the success of earning money? What percentage? Just any rough estimate on the chat box. Someone says 10%, 60, 40, minus 6, 60, 50. Okay. Not at all. Okay. Okay. Now, here's an interesting observation. First, let me check if all are ears to me. Everyone can hear me. I want to see how many of you are active. Just type I or anything. Yes, I, anything. Okay. Now listen carefully. Have you heard often, and this is going to be a brainwashing session, and please don't mind, but this is going to be a reality check. And this is how I thought, and that's why probably I could earn decent amount of income or finances. So now just understand one thing. Have you heard your parents, love from Pakistan? Thank you so much, Javadji. Thank you so much. So have you heard this thing that your parents saying this thing that if you don't study, you're not going to progress? How many of you have heard this thing? That study is the root to everything. How many have heard this thing? Your parents, your relatives, your uncles, your aunts, everyone, literally everyone talking about this thing. Okay. Now think for carefully. Okay. Don't you think your parents are concerned about you and they want you to study so that you can earn good money and you can be at the top of your profession? Isn't that the reason why they say that you should be at the top of the profession? That's why they keep on forcing you to read, study, 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 because you want to go into, okay? Now hear me carefully, okay? If you really want to go into the top position, and yesterday also I had a session with some college people and I gave this example that popped into my head. So let me give you this thing. Do you know, now listen for the next few minutes, I'm going to give you some examples. The person who is running the biggest retail chain in India, who is amongst the top 10 billionaires of India, is not even graduate. He's running DMart. His name is Radhakishan Damani. He's not even graduate, first year failure. First, do you know the top person in the field of cricket who has been worshipped as the god of cricket hasn't completed his graduation or post-graduation? And you guessed it right, it is the legend Sachin Tendulkar. Do you know the person who charges exorbitant amount of money in Bollywood, who is the top bhaijan of Bollywood? he isn't a proper graduate or this thing. Now we can obviously debate he's not good or bad, but let's face out 60 crores for a movie. He is still Salman Khan. Do you know the richest person of our country himself is a dropout and his father was not even a graduate? I'm talking about Mukesh Ambani and his father, Dhirubhai Ambani. Dhirubhai Ambani was a failure. Of course, we have a number of examples. Now, let me tell you, do you know the richest earning, even yes, the person who runs the biggest brokerage company, investment brokerage company, is not a complete graduate. He was working into a BPO. Do you know the best scientist of all time couldn't even get his education? His name is Edison, as well as there are some other examples, the biggest celebrated scientist. Do you know? So are you guys getting onto this point? Are you guys getting into this point? What I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say? Right. First of all, I need to get your minds clear. Okay, minds clear. I'm not saying that stop studying right now. Okay, but if your parents really want you to be on top, then ideally, don't you think the route to go onto the top could be a little different? How many of you agree on this part? Even Ritesh Agrawal, Aman, a lot of people, right? I agree on that part. Even on that part, right? The point is, हम लोग भेड़ चाल में चल रहे हैं. The only thing which has been talked to was given to our parents by their grandparents has been actually been transferred to all of us. Even Elon Musk, for that matter, completely criticizes the entire educational space. We can have a number of examples, right? Kunal Shah, a number of examples. But do you really think that we should completely abolish education then to become financially free or financially successful in any field? Do you really think we should completely? No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't. We shouldn't. We shouldn't. Okay. You need to understand. I am Howard. Thank you so much, Ji. It's 55.5%, by the way. Okay. I agree. Okay. So first of all, how many of you agree, but our parents won't agree on this part, that I want to do something on my passion, I want to get a dropout. Anyways, they are not going to hear, right? And personally, I felt the same thing. They would never agree. And they're right. They want your security. They want your security. And this is something which they have seen up growing. Okay. They have seen, they don't know about Bill Gates. They got to know about Bill Gates just 2-3 years back, 5 years back, right? So you cannot convince. So my point is not that. My only point over here is that if you really think that it's only the education which is going to make you rich or financially free, then that's a myth. Now, how many of you agree on this thing? That only the formal education is going to make you financially free is completely myth. I have seen so many people working into job who are of my age, even older than me, still struggling with their finances. They earn 1 to 2 lakh rupees per month, 4 lakh rupees per month. Still they're struggling with finances. And that's the greatest thing. The reason is because we do a lot of financial mistakes, So coming to the points, what are those financial mistakes which you as students are actually doing? Okay, which you are more in the internet and watch every, absolutely, right. So let's come to the point. The point is the mistakes which you as students are doing. The first thing, you guys are not planning for the long run. All you are actually doing. So for the next 5 minutes, I'm not going to see into the chat box. Is it okay? First, let me cover the points and then we'll again come over here. Is it clear? Just type yes. Okay. Let me first cover some 5-7 quick points and then let's go into the interesting part. Okay. So the first thing, we guys are not looking for the longer period of horizon. We are always trying to look for the short run. We are only thinking about the bike which we need to purchase in the next 2 years. We are only thinking about that iPhone which you really need to purchase in the next 5 years. We are only thinking about, let's say, that foreign vacation which you had dreamt since your childhood and you want to go over there. Stop just thinking about that. No matter, those things are important. You really need to relish those things. You need to enjoy those things. And as in today's YouTube video also, I gave an example. The life is like an ice cream. It keeps on melting. So try to enjoy before it melts completely. So likewise, you also need to keep a balance. And how that balance can be done once you start thinking long term. So right from today's age, start thinking where exactly you see yourself after 10 years. And this is not an interview question kind of thing that I want to be a CEO of company. No, think from a financial perspective that these are the things which you really need to attain in your life. आप आगे के 10 साल का सोचो कि मुझे ये चीजें चाहिए. I need a flat of my own. I need to go for a foreign location, मुझे ये 2 गाड़ियां चाहिए, मुझे एक पेट चाहिए, और उसके बाद मैं 6 साल बाद शादी करने वाला हूं या वाली हूं. Once you decide this thing, your goal becomes clearer on the first part. So first of all, you have to plan for a long run. एक concept होता है which is called delayed gratification, and when we are into 20s we often ignore this thing. What is this? इसको समझते हैं. मैंने आज मॉल गया. इफ आई गो टू मॉल, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट, लेट्स से पैंडेमिक इज ओवर, यू गो टू अ मॉल एंड यू फाइंड सम गुड सूट ओवर देयर, जिसका दाम है 7,000 रुपए, 7,000 rupees. Now you become so anxious to get that suit which you know you are going to wear only once or twice. We all know all those marriage based suits and all those costumes we hardly wear once or twice, and then that goes into our wardrobe, right? Everyone agrees on that. That keeps on going over there. शादी में एक बार पहनते हैं, that's it. किसी की शादी, किसी की party, that's it. After that we are hardly wearing this thing. But still at that point of time, once we have seen it on the in some mall or somewhere, we get so excited to get that suit or the coat or that even if we have a saving of 8,000 rupees, we don't mind spending 7,000 over there. In this case, you really need to have something called delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is basically at this point of time you're trying to prioritize, is this thing going to give me a long-term happiness? If not, I need to compromise on this thing. And here is a hack which in student life you guys should actually acknowledge. A lot of us in student days, just because we have seen one of our friends wearing a branded Lee Cooper thing, or we have seen someone wearing a branded t-shirt which is costing, let's say, 10,000 or 20,000, आपको ये चीज समझनी है that when you are of a kid's age, when you are of a student's age, आप वो एक ब्रांडेड चीज लोगे, for 2 days people are going to talk about, अरे भाई उसके पास तो आईफोन है, बड़ा आदमी, and all those things. After the third day, no one is actually going to care about this thing. It's only during the occasions of parties when they're going to ask you, भाई तेरे पास आईफोन है, फोटो खींच दे. That's it. You become the photographer. Right? So at that first, no, it's not always, Chirag. I'm going to cover all those things, right? So the first thing, at least on the student age, you can cut down your cost by not going brand cautious. My point is, at the student age, you don't need to go brand cautious. I've seen a lot of people that who are so fancy about, no, I really need to have a Netflix cover out there. Okay. But my point is, when you're a student and you really don't have, okay, my voice is clear, guys. Just give me a confirmation if my voice is clear. Okay, it's clear, right? So my thing is, if at this point of time, do you really think paying 400 rupees for that Netflix subscription is really cost worthy? In fact, you guys can actually look for some alternatives. These days, I've seen there are some channels or some places where you can actually find those Netflix series, right? Oh, yes, absolutely. So you need to first, yes. So I don't want to promote plagiarism or something, but this is the reality in student life. You can do this thing. Once you start earning decent amount of money, you can definitely spend for this thing. Right. I know you guys have been doing this thing. Yeah. Or you can spend time on educational channels like mine. So the first point, is it clear? The second point, the delayed gratification part, is it clear to everyone? Is it clear? I'll answer all those things, Pratham. Don't worry. Okay. We'll go step by step. Be a minimalist person, but enjoy at the certain stage. Now, the third thing is, so that includes resist the impulsive buying behavior. Next, the biggest mistake is you are not tracking your expenses. So I'll give you an example. How many of you try to maintain a diary or a sheet of paper where you have written down what are your exact monthly expenses? See, I'm not asking you to have it in your head, but how many? Some have done, that is great. Okay, some have done, that is great. Okay, but how many of you? Okay, Excel sheet. Okay, so for those people, I could see almost 50% of you haven't done it so far. My humble suggestion, try to do this thing, and you will be shocked to see the results, because you would realize that probably you could have saved onto your expenses once you start writing. How many of you have started maintaining this thing? Realize this fact. How many of you have started maintaining? And now these days there are mobile applications also. Okay. So Jay says, I don't have any expense. Who is paying your mobile bill, my dear friend? Maybe parents, but isn't that an expense? Who you must be spending for some fancy pens, maybe for after the pandemic is open, you are going to go out, right? Started but ended soon. So I don't really know the name of the mobile apps, but there are some. Okay, you would find on Play Store and other places. Okay, my name is my channel's name, Hazma, is by my own name, Abhishek only. Okay, so my own name, Abhishek. Okay, so you have to try to track your weekly expenses. Is it clear? you have to try to write down your weekly expenses, because until unless you don't know what is the outflow which is going on, you cannot understand what is I'm keeping a tab of what you are going to buy. Absolutely. So you have to track your expenses. So that's the third part. Absolutely, pen and paper are the best. So how many of you, and it's not just about lavish expenses, my dear friend, it's not about lavish expenses, it's all about the little expenses also. Because once you create that habit, this is the habit which you're going to continue even in your late 20s and 30s. Okay. In आपके जैसे लोगों की जरूरत है. I get it, Sarvesh ji. So is it clear? Everyone has to track their expenses. Is this clear? So make it a habit. How many of you promise that from today onwards, you guys are, even if you're going to spend 10 rupees on a chocolate, please do that. Because then you will realize when you're actually going beyond your needs. This is exactly how you're going to understand. Until unless we don't write, we don't remember. And that is one of the reasons why when we are writing our subjects, we are tend to remember more. It has been scientifically proven when you write things, you can recollect them 75% more. Okay. Even if you don't have a monthly expense, try to find an annual expense on that case. Okay. Try to find an annual expense. The next very thing, the next very mistake, biggest mistake which a lot of us do, in fact, I did at some point of time, is depending completely on our parents for our paisa. Even anda burger, absolutely Akshat, anda burger bhi likhna hai. How many of you really don't have any source of income? I know I could be a little hard over here, but how many of you don't have any source of income? Okay, let me see. I'm in school. That's fine. That's fine. It's good that you are attending this session. We are just here to open up your brain. Okay. So currently close to 160 students are attending this thing. Okay. And I can see, I completely depends. I completely see. You know, the beauty about Indian culture is till the time you don't reach your age of 22, your parents will continue to feed you. आपके घर वाले जब तक आप 20-22 साल के नहीं होते ना, तब तक आपको कमाएंगे, खिलाएंगे, कुछ बोलेंगे भी नहीं. How many of you agree on this part? कुछ नहीं बोलेंगे. They will say यार कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं, सिर्फ पढ़ाई करो, पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दो, और कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं. Because that is how our culture has been made. तो अब यहाँ पर don't you think when you are seeking inspiration from Bill Gates, when you are seeking your inspiration from Mark Zuckerberg, when you are seeking your inspiration from Warren Buffett, these people became financially independent, or at least started taking charge of their finances by the age of 13 or 14. तो आप मुझे बताओ, आप बोलते हो कि मुझे उनके जैसा बनना है, लेकिन 13-14 साल की उम्र से वो फाइनेंशियली अपना कस्टडी लेने लग गए थे. then how come you can say that I can actually become them, how I can replicate them at an earlier speed? Are you guys getting this thing? Absolutely. There's so many examples. They are not genius. They started taking custody. 13-14 साल की उम्र से उन्होंने काम शुरू करना शुरू कर दिया था. 12 साल की उम्र में जब वी ऑल वर प्लेइंग लूडो लॉकडाउन के टाइम पे, at that point of time they took action. They took action. They didn't think ki, oh my god, my parents are actually saying not to earn money, so I shouldn't be earning money. My earning is more than $500 at 19 years. Fantastic. So Khan ji, you're already ahead of 90% of the people, and it is evident enough by looking at this current session. Right? Elon Musk made his first app at the age of 11. Fantastic. Okay. So now, how many of you are curious? How should we start thinking what we can do? How many of you are curious? What should we do? What should we do? Should we earn little money? Yes. Earning money is not bad. You know, spending, if you can spend 2-3 hours in a day and you can earn money. Okay. How? The point is, we never took this part seriously. Can't we simply make our CV and put it on freelance on internshala.com for a part-time job of any skill set which we are having? First question, can we at least do this thing? This is free of cost. No one is asking you to get money, but internshala, you just go and there are n number of profiles. If you know how to develop a website, you can go there. If you know how to manage a social media website, you can do this thing. Even if you know how to comment on this thing. So a lot of people are looking for social media handles, those who can manage the social media handle. Campus ambassador is an internship job which we can do. Yes, you can do a campus ambassador job. You can do something. So there are n number of things. Even 11th and 12th class people are actually working for various internship. Can't you just write an article if you're good for this thing? So in internshala maybe sari cheezein sahi nahi hai, but there are some people. I'm just giving you an example. I'm in 12th. What can I do? panic. For this thing, you really need to do an introspection. Atma parikshan bolte hain usko. You need to ask yourself what I can do. You need not to be perfect at something. You need to understand when Apple came, there were 10 different other mobile companies. Okay. When this thing came, when Snapdeal came, Flipkart was already there. When Amazon came, there were already few other things, right? So are you guys getting the point which I'm trying to mention over here? You need to first introspect what I can do better than at least 1000 people. You not to think about 1 crore people, right? आपको सोचना है कि मैं 100 लोगों से 1000 लोगों से better कौन सी चीज कर सकता हूँ. Create a profile and put over there. The problem is we are not taking action. Absolutely, entrepreneurship is future, but it's not just about entrepreneurship. It will also help you into job. I'll give you an example. How many of you graphic designing? So fantastic. Priyansh has found that graphic designing is for him. Fantastic, right? Call to action is missing. Absolutely. So how many of you feel a little pumped up that yes, we are actually going to think at least now. You were not even thinking what I can do. Coding is for you. Fantastic, right? Okay, so it's easy to say, but put your CV on intentional difficulty actually to get a job. You have to try. That's the problem. We want to run a marathon, but we are not ready to take the first step. Manvi, if you are not ready to take the first step, how would you realize? And anyways, no one gets the job at first stage. Disney didn't get its first break in the first time. 306 banks rejected their proposal. Now just imagine, in the first bank rejected the proposal, hey daya, dunya ka kahegi. If you really think this thing, and today you guys are into a beautiful age of digital technology. There's so many things. Okay. I applied for 45 internship and got my first internship. Fantastic. This is exactly the sort of attitude you need to improve. You need to keep on trying. How many of you promise that you will keep on trying? Just type try on the Zoom chat. How many of you will at least start trying? I'm not saying you will get it in the first go. I'm not saying, but at least this will give you the first reality check of the market, because plain and simple, if you are not getting selected, you need to understand that it's high time I should start working on my skill. So in any case, this is going to benefit you. Even if you're not going to get a job, at least you will start learning something, some new skill. How many of you are getting my point? At least you will start learning some new skill, right? Everyone. The recording would be there, Tanuj, don't worry, okay? Right? So at least, so there is nothing to lose. There is always something to gain. Either you will get an internship, or either you will get a reality check that the market is very competitive and I need to increase my reading skills. Will also work. Absolutely, Shrishti. Even reading skills, speaking skills, there are people, absolutely. Even, and yes, Ashwin said very good that on the low cost things, Coursera, Udemy, and in fact, YouTube channels are filled with easy to learn things, right? There are companies which are even looking for someone to write their subtitles. Okay. There are people who are being hired for writing subtitles on YouTube. So for example, if I'm speaking in Hindi, you guys have to start this thing, right? So now the question is, Jay is asking how to manage education, learning, skill, and working together. So I have an answer for this. How many hour copywriting? Absolutely, Sejal. So is this point clear to everyone? Is this point clear to everyone? Money, my channel's name is Abhishek, my own name. Okay. Now, someone asked how to manage all those things. I have a very simple answer to this thing. Digital marketing, absolutely very booming. A lot of people are looking. Okay. So first, how many hours do you have in a day? So Subhash, maybe you're not ready for trading in that case. Trading is not that easy as people think. Okay. So you have 24 hours. 24 hours. Okay. How many hours do you sleep, or you should be sleeping? How many hours do you sleep? Thank you, Abhay, for sharing the channel link. Okay. How many hours do you sleep? 7 hours. Let's say 7 hours. Okay. Average is coming around 7. How much is left? How much is left? I'll talk about everything. Okay. How much is left? 17 hours is left, right? 17 hours. Let's say you eat food, you watch one episode of a series. I'm even counting that you watch maybe a Big Bang Theory of Friends or anything. Okay. You eat food at least 4 times in a day. Can we consider that all these things can be done in 2 hours? Because average time for an episode of a series takes 40 minutes. Okay. And then maybe 1 hour, 20 minutes or something. Can we say that 2 hours, at least in student age, you should not be that lazy? And come on, I'm also taking your bathing time. Can we consider that in 2 hours, you take bath, you take the, yes, we are coming to everything, Srishti, don't worry. Okay. 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 So 15 hours, don't worry, we have to consider other things also. Out of those 15 hours, let's assume that because now we are staying in pandemic in our home, so our parents are asking to do some additional work. Can we deduct another 1 hour? Can we deduct another 1 hour? Because parents often say, ki kuch ye kar le, kuch wo kar le, and all those things, right? So we are taking 14 hours. If we do with full efficiency, we can do this thing. Can we consider another 7 hours for online classes? Can we consider another 7 hours for online classes? Okay. Not even 5, 6 hours. I'm saying 7 hours. Okay. We take 7 hours. We are still left with 7 hours and 2 hours of self-study, because after those 7 hours, we hardly take those things. We will take breaks also. Okay. 2 hours is around 5 hours. And who attends online classes? Yes, I deducted 7 hours. Okay. You're still left with at least 4 hours. Have you ever wondered where these 4 hours are actually going? Have you ever wondered, okay, you do playing, exercise and everything 1 hour, we are taking everything. Okay, have you ever wondered if someone is saying that for 4 hours they are doing workout? It's strange. It could be hardly 1.5 hours scrolling your social media. It's all going on. How I went from this to this, Bajareda Sitta, I am a Barbie girl, and Dik Chick. Every time is actually getting spoiled over there. You are actually going in Bahubali ne Kattappa ko kyun mara and all those stuff. This is exactly where every time is going on. This is the reality check. Elon Musk is managing 6 companies, my dear friend, being a billionaire. Okay, 6 companies being a billionaire. If time management is something you need to learn, you can learn it from him. Okay, Amazon, the richest person of the world, still gets time for his people, right? So it's all we all say, and why we say that we don't have time is because we often see our parents, we often see a lot of our members in a family, and we feel that kisi ke paas time nahi hai. So now, plus he made the Boeing company for fun. Absolutely. Okay. Still, he got time to tweet on Dodge. Absolutely. And that's the time management. So how many of you now, at least after this session, will reconsider looking into that time management schedule? How many of you would actually do this thing? It's high time. The earlier you start doing this thing, and come on, I'm not saying that work for those 4 hours, but at least 2 hours, at least 2 hours, you guys. And we have taken the worst of everything. Okay, at least 2 hours. And if you actually count, if you do a little maths, 2 hours in a day, it is turning around 14 hours in a week, and that is turning around almost 96 to 100 hours in a month. 100 hours in a month, that means in 10 months you can learn something skill and become perfect in that. How does that sound now? Perfect in that. If it all depends on that word, if you really want to bring the change, if you really want to take an action, it all depends on that. I'm pretty sure after this session also, almost 90%, I'm giving you this guarantee, you can take it as a challenge also, 90% of you would feel pumped up, but after 3 days you will forget. It would be more like a Sandeep Maheshwari video where you get motivated for 2 minutes and after that you certainly forget, right? But even if those 10%, it's not a personal attack, it's the reality. But even if 10% of you are able to do this thing, the job is done. Aryan, you can even add assignments, 2 hours to assignments and everything. And come on, don't tell me that every day for 4 hours you're doing assignment, because that brings me to a notice that for 120 hours you are doing an assignment. In that case, that assignment should get a Nobel Prize. Okay. That's why I'm listening to you every weekend. Thank you so much. Okay. So is this point clear to everyone? I'll take up your questions. Don't worry, guys. Let me cover a few points. So this is another mistake which you guys think. You're not tracking your expenses. You're not budgeting it. You're taking an impulsive buying. Then you're not thinking also of creating an additional source of income which can put you ahead of a lot of people. Another thing, okay, another thing is you are always into a constant state of comparison. This is a financial mistake, I'll tell you. How many of you go on social media, okay? How many of you are social media, okay? And keep on comparing with a lot of people. Keep on comparing with a lot of people. How many of you have been doing this thing subconsciously? Yeah, mere friend ka to life set hai, ye hai, all those things. Okay. How many of you? Fantastic, Jay. That was a wise decision. Okay. Insecurity, right? And you keep on comparing this lifestyle. You need to get rid of this habit. You need to get rid of this habit. You need to understand social media is completely filtered. Even when any person is actually putting a photo, they're actually using 10 filters out there. That's not the reality. The moment you will meet, you will find the huge difference. Okay. So you need to understand that the very first fundamental thing is you need to stop comparing. Why? I'll tell you. Because once you start comparing, you stop focusing upon yourself. Once you stop focusing upon yourself, you cannot focus on things which can help you to grow. And once you stop focusing on those things, how the hell you're going to manage your own finances? Okay, how you can manage your own expenses. So I'll give you a very simple example how to do this thing. If you are into constant state of comparison, that my friend has got a car, my friend has a rich father, so money, someone has actually put it on the YouTube channel. Please go and check it out over there. Okay, someone is Suno Mayo has been constantly asking. Okay, so you need to understand that once you get into this process, once you get into this thing, you need to start. Once you put your attention aside from everyone, then only you can actually start focusing on your own finances. How many of you agree on this part? You can at least start focusing upon yourself, and then eventually you can start focusing upon your finances. So this is precisely what you do. Stop comparing, because no one is showing the real life on Instagram. Everyone is happy on Facebook. Everyone is happy. Okay. You pointed right. I want to manage my finances. Absolutely. Everyone needs to do this thing. And one simple thing which you really need to do, so you don't need to depend entirely on your parents. Start taking care. Okay. Stop comparing. Start tracking your expenses, start budgeting things, start writing down the things, and get some sources of income by either doing internship. That is number one. Second, learn some skill, and there are people out there on the online space who are ready to pay you for skill, and any skill can be learned in the next 6 to 7 months. When I stopped comparing, my parents started comparing with my person's better. Parents have this hobby. See, you cannot change the mindset of people who have been bought in India. Okay. So you got, I have recently installed Instagram after you. Fantastic. Now the question is, see, you have taken an action, but the point is for how long you can resist the temptation of going into Instagram. Okay. That would be the biggest challenge. Uninstalling is not a big thing. I'm pretty sure most of you must have uninstalled some apps at some point of time only to reinstall it after 6 days. How many of you have done this thing? A lot of you must have decided I won't be watching Amazon Prime only to rewatch it after 3 days. How many of you have done this thing? A lot of you must have decided I won't play PUBG, but only after 2-3 days you have again started playing this thing. So you got to understand, it's all about self-discipline. If you really need to sum up everything to take care of your finance, it's all about self-discipline. It's all about action, which are going to take place. Okay. So now, yeah. So Ram said, but there are some good finance pages. Absolutely. So Ram, if you have the discipline of spending only 1 hour on Instagram, or that's also too much as a student, 40 minutes, but only on the good finance pages, that makes sense. But if you're constantly actually going through the reels, you won't be able to prosper in your life. How many of you have got the point? How many of you have got the point? How many of you have got the point? So Aditya, if you don't want to do an internship, you can create some skill and you can create your own website, start selling some services. If you don't want to do that, you can create now something related to Facebook, but Facebook or Instagram, or you can create a YouTube channel and start doing something which you really like. It could be dance, it could be anything. A lot of dance based YouTube channels are actually earning. You can actually you can get into ad agencies, but doesn't doing a low paying job some way sucks our energy? Okay, so Ashish ji, I never said that you should do a low paying job. What I said is improve your skills. That's the big problem. A lot of people don't realize that Warren Buffett used to sell newspaper. It could be the least productive job to do, nothing to do with finance. But why he did? Because he wanted to understand the psychology of money and how to earn money. Okay. It's not because he wanted to start a newspaper empire. Jeff Bezos used to sit till night 3 o'clock to do parcel of books. Do you really think he really wanted to sell books in his entire life? No, it was starting. He wanted to get his hand dirty. Even we started, like I personally had an IT based company, not because I want to sustain into an IT industry, but to get my hands dirty. Okay. Gary Vee used to do garage sales. Absolutely. Everyone has that start. The problem between mediocre people and extraordinary people is mediocre people have an excuse for everything. Believe me, Human beings are the best professional excuse makers. We have an excuse for everything. Time kyun nahi ho raha? There are so many assignments. As if you are working 120 hours in a month for assignment. Why are you not able to earn a little more money other than your parents? Because I am into studies. मैं तो school और college में वो time ही नहीं मिलता. We are a professional excuse makers, and we have become so because our society is made so much. Yes, Jeff Bezos used to work into McDonald's. So when you guys are seeking inspiration from these people, why can't? Yes, absolutely. So you need to understand that instead of looking onto those alternatives, that okay, today I want to be pumped up, I'll go and watch a Vivek Bindra's YouTube channel and then I'll get pumped up for 2 days and again back to this thing. आग चाहिए अंदर, absolutely. How many of you agree on this part? How many of you agree on this part? And that itself, ये आग आ गई ना, तो your finance will automatically get in place. So work on your skill set, stop comparing yourself, take care of your expenses, write it down a lot of things, introspect, ask yourself what I'm good at, and then exactly you can this thing. Okay. So now I would be take an action. Take an action. If you want to understand the gist, that is take the action. So now for the next 10 minutes, I'll quickly take up your questions. Okay, this was a brief template. I'm not going into advanced because considering the sort of audience base we are having, I don't want to confuse a lot of these things. Do you do these type of sessions every Sunday, dude? These are so good. No, I really don't do this thing. Thank you so much. But because I was invited, so I did this thing. Okay, so I'm in second sem CSE. Does it too late? It is never late. KFC was started at the age of 65. McDonald's professionally started at the age of 55. Professionally worked. So you still are very this thing. Investing in personal growth should be more important in 20s. Absolutely, absolutely. So investing plus executing those things. So for example, if you understand that yes, you need to have multiple sources of income. Okay, you read it, but how? You have to create those, right? Please suggest something for class 12. So when you are in class 12, of course, your first focus should be this thing at least above distinction or 60% at least. That would be first. But second, at least this is the time when you figure out what exactly you need to do in future. So let's say if you are planning, you want to become a computer science graduate, you start learning a few things of computer through YouTube. At least you can start all those things. Okay. Sir, how to improve listening and understanding level? Now, there is one book by the name Deep Work. You can actually refer to that, although it's not specific to listening, but that is certainly going to add some value. And rest, you have to deliberately stop yourself and listen to something which is interesting. So every day, listen to a 10-minute TED talk. Slowly increase that horizon to 15 minutes. That is precisely how you're going to do this thing. I have an entrance exam in few months. Should I give full focus on cracking exam? It is all about priority. If you are really as we calculate out of those 24 hours, if for the 12 hours you are really focused on those things and you can focus for 12 hours a day on the entrance exam, then yes. If that can help you to give a financial boost, then yes. If not, if you're not if you're still having some time, you can at least find 2 hours for your self-improvement. My parents are saying to go in a government job, but I want to go into private sector. So Priyansh, see, there will be always a conflict of interest. The parents will be only convinced, and most of the Indian parents, specifically who are into government jobs or who have seen the job cycle, they always want a secured what do we call government job for their kids. My suggestion would be, if you really are passionate about getting into a private job, you need not to say or argue with those people. You just first get into maybe an BCom, BBA, graduate, whatever. I don't know what exactly you're doing at this point of time. Just go through that flow. And the very next moment, what you have to do is, once you get into this thing, work so hard that the very first moment you sit on the placement, you are actually getting a good private job, so that your parents don't have an excuse that boss don't do this thing. So that is exactly being okay. So many questions are coming. Okay. So what are you? Okay, physical books or online ebooks? As a student, go for ebooks because maybe you won't be in a position to spend a lot. But if you get a source of earning, please start buying physical books, because I personally feel physical books are better. Should we go into stocks market or crypto as a student? As a student, my suggestion would be it is a fantastic time to go into stock markets. Okay. I am a second year student. I live in a hostel. Due to pandemic, I have to cook my meal twice. The question, can you please copy and paste why India don't have a hedge fund? So the reason is plain and simple. SEBI regulations don't allow that thing. We have an AIF thing. I think most time, just give me a second. Let me go upside. There's so many questions. Sir, I am a second year student. I live in hostel pandemic. I have to cook my daily meal twice. This is why most of the time is getting wasted in what I'm not interested in doing. What should I do? So for example, if you're creating meal twice, the thing is you're not focusing on creating the meal at that point of time. I'll tell you. So if you are creating your meal at the same time you're watching some series, at the same time you're thinking something, the meal which can be prepared in 20 minutes, it getting prepared in let's say 15 minutes. So you're actually losing 30 minutes at one meal, and eventually you're losing 50 into 2, that is you're losing 100 minutes of the day. So first of all, you shouldn't say that because of two meals you're not able to focus, because hardly 50 minutes, I'm taking the worst time, it would be 100 minutes. 100 minutes is coming around 1 hour and maximum 1.5 hours. Okay, but you can still get this thing. Can you please suggest a book to learn financial literature? Rich Dad Poor Dad is one good book which you should actually try. So Pranav, you should not give this excuse. Again, this is an excuse making. Just imagine if you really calculate the amount of time required to make food, it shouldn't go that high, right? It should be hardly 100, 120 minutes total for two foods. Okay. Now it depends. If you every day want to make something lavish, that would obviously take time. Okay. Next, crypto will ban, not that easily, my dear friend. There's a huge sample size over here. So I don't really think. Okay, so the chats have been disabled. Thank you. I can read a few questions over here. Fine. Cool. So I'll take a few questions. You can enable the chat. Whatever I can see at this point of time, I'll answer. So the chat can be,
yeah. So I should enable the chat or not?
Yeah. You enable. Whatever I see on the screen, I'll actually answer for the next 5 minutes. Okay. So any tips for first year engineering students? So first engineering students, other than your studies, you should also focus on developing your existing skill set. And this skill set doesn't necessarily has to do something with engineering. What I found is engineers are actually doing good in digital field. They are doing good as an author. They are doing good into, presentation based skills. So the very first important thing you need to understand, even after engineering, let's say, even if you want to go for a job, on job also 10,000 applicants are going to fight for that one job. So you need to make yourself so strong, so robust that no matter what happens, you get selected. And for that, you need additional skill sets. The things are changing. It's not just about studies. It's also about additional skill sets. I have less skills and finally, should I focus on income or improve? First, improve your skills. The moment your skills improve, your income is automatically fall through. Okay, so first try to do this thing. First try to increase your sources of income. If you don't, this thing is Atomic Habits a good book, fantastic book. Everyone should read this thing. Try to keep your questions short, my dear friends. If you're writing very big questions, I won't be able to answer. Sir, tell us about your journey from class 12. That would be really big. But yes, I had done few small stints of businesses even when I was in school. I think so in 8th class. So in our days, there was the gel pen was quite new. It was not launched before this thing. These days it's quite common. So gel pen was new, and a lot of hostlers were staying there. And I was a residential person. Like I used to stay in my own house. So these hostlers had no idea about what is the pricing of this gel pen. So I used to purchase those gel pen at 5 rupees and I used to sell it 10 rupees. Some might say this is a scam. No, this was a pure business. They were ready to pay even 15 rupees for the same thing. I gave this thing. It was only after 2 years they got to see the advertisement and realize. I also used to sell some drawing based ticket kind of thing, which used to work into our days. So even I formed a few of these things. In fact, you would be surprised to know there was a time when I even sold some coupons by going into the malls. Okay, so all the people would feel a little embarrassed, but because I was not staying in my, at that point of time, I was not there with my family, so I could eventually do those things. Okay, can you please explain NFT real deal? So it's a very wide subject, NFT. And it is definitely taking a lot of craze because of the digital this thing, the only thing which is there on digital. A lot of valuations are going on. I think so recently something was sold for around $50 million, and it is something really great. But to be very honest, I'm not very certain about the future of that. Okay, at this point of time, I'm not this thing. Is freelancing a good idea? Absolutely. To increase your skills, it's a good thing. Sir, I want to learn stock market. So if you really want to learn stock market, there is one wonderful module called Zerodha Varsity. You guys can actually go and read this thing. I literally get frustrated every day doing nothing to improve my skill sets. Should I get out of? Absolutely. Get out of overthinking and start something. It could be as little. Don't think about the result. In Gita also they say, karma karte ja, phal ki chinta na kar. That is precisely what you have to do. How to find my passion and perfect skills? Don't strive for perfection in life. Don't try to become an Amir Khan. Try to become an Akshay Kumar. Akshay Kumar keeps on doing movies after movies after movies. Some get hit, some get flop. Eventually he's getting he has become one of the highest paying actors in terms of annual income, right? That is precisely you need to do. So your views on Ethereum in terms of crypto is actually good. One can invest some amount over here. How to search clients to offer services. And so there are some freelance based website, freelancing.com, elance, and there are a couple of websites. If you Google, you will find those things. So your views on Ethereum, I gave this thing. Being an engineering student, should we go into fundamental analysis? It's not necessary. It has nothing to do with engineering. It depends on your passion. If you like to observe balance sheets, P&L statements, then fundamental analysis. If you're someone who's a chart guy, go for technical analysis. If you want to go in trading, it has technical analysis, investing, fundamental analysis. Sir, books on learning about stock market investing, The Intelligent Investor, The Security Analysis, Common Stocks, Uncommon Profits, and a few books from Ashwini Gujarat. What can BBA honors students do? So BBA honors students, it depends. If you have a skill of writing, you can go into, if you're asking about future, or you're asking about jobs. If you're asking about freelance job, you can do proofreading. You can increase your sales skill, and you can get hired by a few agencies to do that thing. You can work on digital marketing skills. There are a lot of things you can actually do. And in future, I believe the sad part in our country is, until unless you're not getting a commerce graduation from a top-notch college, it becomes a little difficult to get a direct reputed job. But even in that case, you can actually go into a finance-based company, wherein you can work as a junior analyst for that matter. But that would also require a good amount of skill set and ISM certifications. Other than that, you can go for sales based jobs. Other than that, you can, so sales and marketing jobs are basically, which is going, oh, so you are into Christ. So if you are into Christ, so I believe you will get a good campus placement, because I've heard that Christ Bangalore is actually this thing. Yes, Christ is actually good. Christ is actually good. Christ Bangalore is good. Have read rest. I want to learn higher level. So I've given 3 books name over here. I'm here for another 1 minute. I'll answer. Sir, I'm Ayurveda student. What entrepreneur? Ayurveda, come on. The pandemic has opened up the doors, my dear friend. You have seen that healthcare as a space would be really great, and people are again switching back to traditional method. There's one company, I forgot the name, which is whose parents used to be in Ayurveda. This person went to US, States. He did his probably MBA or something. He came down. He took the company to a new level into branding and all those things. And they are providing Ayurvedic this thing. And they are making millions and millions in terms of turnover every year. Okay, so you can actually, Ayurveda is a huge scope. Just in Ayurveda, make sure that you know the stuff really well, because this is critical. Okay, so guys, the MBA in AI or AI or of the question. So I think so MBA in this thing would actually work. So guys, now I think, so summary will take a lot of time. The summation is plain and simple. To take care of your finances, track your expenses, do your budgeting. Don't just compare yourself with others. It's all about starting right now and have a discipline. That's all I would like to say. Okay, over to you people, guys.
Yeah, Yukma, can go ahead.
Right. Abhishek, I just want to thank you for coming and hosting this wonderful and informative event. It was actually very informative, and I guess every one of you really enjoyed and were were educated on the topic. Guys, please check him out on YouTube. His channel's link is posted in the chat. A little bit about him. So he is a trader come investor by profession and educator by passion. He has around 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think he recently reached that landmark. Congratulations, Abhishek, for that. And he has his channel is all about stock market and finance in general. He also has a series of videos where he covers different stories and scams of the Indian stock market world, something which I would highly recommend, by the way. Check it out, guys. Yeah, thanks a lot for coming, Abhishek.
Okay, welcome. Have a great day. I hope this was a fruitful session. Take care. Bye-bye.
It indeed was, Abhishek. All right. We hope to see you again sometime down the line.
Sure, we'll check out.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll end the meeting now. Thanks for
Sure.
coming.
Okay.
Once again.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.